Morning, everybody. How you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I am Sean Butler. Bugsy Malone is right down behind me. This is your Monday morning review show, I guess. Hope you're all happy and healthy, doing the things you love. Sorry about the background noise. People are cutting down trees. Guys, look, 2-2, Desmond, away at Brentford. First and foremost, let me tell you, I would have bitten your hand off for that result, a month ago, leading into the pre-season, whatever. I think the disruption from our pre-season, throughout our pre-season, was pretty drastic. One of the pre-season friendlies was cancelled, replaced with a team that you couldn't learn anything from. Another one was rained off. Lots of travelling, not enough minutes. A lot of new players joining at various stages, not having many minutes together. The Harry Kane saga finding its resolution and taking away a lot of the kind of attention from what should have been the opening game. It was all about him. A back line that had three players essentially playing together for the first time in Udogie, Van der Ven, Romero, and Emerson. And also, of course, Vicario. 3 debuts, Premier League debuts there. 1 for Maddison as well. Like, lots and lots of unknowns. How are we going to finally demonstrate this possession-based football? And could we handle it really against a really tough opposition? And let me remind you guys, nobody last year, went to Brentford and had more than 66% possession. Manchester City and Arsenal. I think Man City had 64%, Arsenal I think had 66%, or maybe the other way around. Tottenham yesterday had 70% possession. We dominated that game. In the second half, it was like a training exercise. It was very impressive. The possession-based stuff, I think, will make a lot of team managers and coaches sit up and take notice about Tottenham's ability to not only keep the ball, but recover the ball when we lose it. And I think that is going to lead me into some of the players' performances yesterday that I believe have been, to some extent, I think people, when they're giving their judgments on them, are sometimes missing a little bit of the lesser visible criteria. In order to play possession-based football, in order to do this high line, high press, and affect it to its best address, then you need everybody singing from the same hymn sheet. You need everybody pressing together. The forwards need to defend as much as the defenders, and the defenders need to sometimes attack as much as the forwards. It's about that unity and that synchronicity. And I think that there's a couple of players on the team that are probably going to get really harsh marks from some because they struggled to do their particular criteria, like the obvious parts of their game, to full effect. People like Decky had lots of possession, lots of chances on the ball, didn't really create much, especially in that second half. It became quite boring, I think. 85% possession in the second half, but it was a lot of kind of recycling from left to right. We couldn't break down a very stubborn, very well organised and structured bank of 5 and then a bank of 3 or 4 in front. People like Decky and Sonny, and for what it's worth Perisic as well, they really couldn't find a way to get in behind as frequently as we would otherwise like. Now, of course, that is the general instruction of Ange Ball, is to get it out wide and whip the ball into the box. And I think Richarlison didn't show his best performance either. He was kind of never where you needed him to be. His touches were, predictably poor again. And I really do think that, I said this on a video that we made last night on the Irish Hotspur that will be uploaded, I think, in a little while today. I think Dave and I are in agreement that the lack of creativity at the top end is an issue, and probably a slightly bigger issue than I had previously given it credit for. I was once upon a time, not very long ago at all, of the mindset that you take the Harry Kane money and you spend 75% of it on fixing the defence. and 25% on just adding a little extra option here or there in the forward line to give us something different. But actually, having watched that, very frustrating second half, I feel like we do need someone who can unlock and someone who can take their chances a little bit better than what we've currently got up there. Where I would say I think it's important to give Kulusevski credit is in his role off the ball, his requirement in the team to get that ball back against a very strong defence. The Brentford team are not just well organised, but they're a very stubborn and strong backline. And I think you need someone like Decky in those situations to be able to use his muscle to fight and get the ball back. And he did that, I think 8 times from memory on the stats. 8 times he won the ball back in offensive duels. And that is something that you shouldn't sniff at. That's not something that you should overlook and say, well, because he didn't, create a goal, therefore he had a bad game. It doesn't matter what he did off the ball. It's very important what he does off the ball. And I think that we have a real solid key asset in the recovery of the possession high up the pitch, which is what you need in a high line, high press system. And if you don't have that, then you're going to give away far more chances over the top or down into the wings. Another player that I think needs a second look from certain people that are on Twitter and on YouTube and stuff that are, criticising heavily was the performance of Emerson Royal. Okay, yes, he was a little bit sloppy for one of the goals and got rinsed inside by a brilliant, I think for me, one of the best left backs in the Premier League in Rico Henry, who had a brilliant game, by the way. And most, if not all, of Brentford's chances were deliberately put down that side. But I think you also need to take a look at the heat maps, and I haven't got it in front of me. I haven't even seen it myself yet, but when I get back, I'll download it from Y-Scout, and I'm pretty sure you'll see that Ollie Skip and Emerson Royal's average position, I would imagine, will look almost identical, or if not, you might even see Ollie Skip slightly wider than Emerson Royal. Look, to me, guys, Emerson Royal was given a different set of instructions than Destiny Udogie. Destiny Udogie was asked to get forward and to stay left. And look, he has the pace and the engine, and what a performance from him. We'll come to him in a minute, to be able to get up and down and get back. Emerson Royal's instruction to me was clear that when we had the ball, he was asked to come in and almost play as a second 6, like a double pivot, but obviously without the need to pivot, and sit next to Bissouma. And Ollie Skip was then asked to play further onto the right hand side to support Decky further up the pitch. That left the hole down on the right hand side in our right back spot for Rico Henry to attack and for Brentford to attack. And I think that Thomas Frank identified that early in the game, and that's where they had their successes. But I feel like to criticise Emerson Royal for not being able to be in the position he should be in, when he was clearly by design asked to play in a different position when we had the ball, and when we lost the ball, sometimes the transition happened so quick, bearing in mind how fast Rico Henry is and how good Brentford were in the transition. I think it's a little bit harsh on Emerson Royal. Could he have done better in certain circumstances defensively? 100%. For what it's worth, I think he won every one of his offensive duels. I think he won 5 from 5. And obviously he scored a goal and contributed. I think he had the second most amount of touches on the pitch behind Yves Bissouma, well over 100 touches. So I feel like the instruction that was given to him was different to how you would normally expect the right back to operate. And that being said, there are always going to be consequences to playing the system the way that Ange wants to play it. You can't be in every position all at once, and if you do play that high line, high press, and you do want to move someone in midfield to try and stop some of that kind of central threat from Norgard and Janelt, then there's going to be somewhere on the pitch that you can't necessarily cover. You can't have 14 players on the pitch at once. And so that was the kind of sacrificial lamb, that area down there. And Brentford attacked it very well, but I just don't feel like the criticism for Emerson Royal defensively is fully baking in some of the responsibilities, or the added responsibility that's there. If anything, Ollie Skipp should be held more accountable. He was asked to go out there and sit on the wide right to try and nullify the threat of Rico Henry, and didn't. I thought Ollie Skipp had a really, really disappointing game. I thought he looked well off his best, and I would imagine that seeing what we saw, and also seeing Pape Sarr's performances in the pre-season, which to my mind were head and shoulders above Ollie Skipp's generally, apart from maybe the Barcelona game, then I feel like, I think there needs to be a little bit of a change for the Man United game, and probably bring Pape Sarr back in. Time will tell about that. We've got a lot of time to talk this week about that game. I thought Mickey van der Ven was really, really solid for his debut. A couple of early nerves. Some of the passing at the start was a little bit nervy, but after that, and I'll be honest, I think it was Mia or Kate who called it out on the post-match stream yesterday. I hadn't seen the stats, but for him to, I think, won all of his aerial duels, won 90% of his ground duels, his defensive duels were all essentially 100% wins. I think that he came in and did a really good job, and you could see that pace, his ability to get back. It's going to be very, very, very useful. Really impressed with him. Shame for Romero, brave to get back up after having that head injury, and then 2 minutes later score a goal, put his head on the line again. A lot of people wouldn't want to get their head stuck in after smashing their head in a pre-tumble a few minutes earlier, but he did. And then look, Ange and the doctors made the decision, and I think it was probably the right one. It was just a shame it did affect us. But what it's worth, I thought Sanchez, when he came on, also had a good game. Second game in a row for him. I think he definitely suits, this system more than the previous system. He has less time to think about his inevitable mistakes. Becomes a little bit more on instinct, and if the ball does get put behind, he's very, very capable at having a foot race with someone and then ultimately sliding in. Generally, I think that's one of the strongest parts of his game. And so, not that I would like to keep him in a dream world scenario, but in the realistic scenario in which we face ourselves or find ourselves, for me, I feel like Sanchez is probably, if we can find another one, bring another defender in, obviously that would be fantastic, but Sanchez for me probably is the best of the rest of what we have. And obviously with the noise and the news that's emerging with Eric Dyer, not travelling yesterday, all the stuff that happened with the social media, despite Ange saying in the post-match press conference that Dyer is still a part of this team, I think it sounds to me like the writing's on the wall for that one. So we just need to get another centre-back in to really shore up that back line and make sure that they're fast, instinctive, and obviously have decent positional awareness. Who else we got to talk about? James Maddison I thought was spectacular. I thought he was a little bit slow to start, but as the game went on he started to pull the strings, and actually, despite what I said earlier about Ange Ball looking to play down the wings, if you actually look, I haven't seen the stat sheet yet, but I'd imagine that, I'll put it up if I can find it, that you'd find something like 80% of the attacking play that Tottenham did was actually down through the centre. I think there was very little in terms of average attack that came down the right, slightly more on the left. Sonny and Perisic, when he came off, were, I think, a little bit more creative, a little bit more fortunate, a little bit more able to find the opportunity to cross the ball than certainly Decky was. Decky was very predictable, wasn't he? He always does the same thing. I think that is a problem for me. He needs to have the confidence to go down the byline more. And if he can't do that, bearing in mind that you're supposed to have the fullbacks that invert, or the fullbacks that can go, if you want your forwards to invert, then the fullbacks to go past. Emerson Royal certainly wasn't given that instruction. Ollie Skipp certainly wasn't making any effort to get round the byline. So if all you're going to expect as a defender, as a left back against Tottenham, is Emerson Royal to tuck in, the second 8 to hover, and no one to kind of give Decky another option, then all you're going to expect Decky to do, unless he changes his game, is to hold his arm out, use his strength, and keep the ball on his left side. And he's very good at doing it, but it's very predictable. And if that's all you've got to expect, then all you need to do as a defender in that situation is take half a step to your inside and then block the move. I hate predictability. If you watch my channel for a long time, you'll know I'm always talking about the benefits of unpredictability. I think with Ange we have options. Losing Harry Kane, though, to me exposed a bit of a lack of unpredictability in what we saw from Sonny and from Decky on the right. And I don't think that Perisic had any more joy either, for what it's worth. He put a couple of good crosses in, but he didn't really step up necessarily. I wasn't impressed with any of the wide guys with the ball. Off the ball, I thought Decky was wonderful today. Maddison obviously was trying to pull the strings, got his 2 assists, and I think obviously everything's starting nicely with him. More things to come. But look, to me, guys, the last one I haven't really mentioned is Basuma. World-class performance from him yesterday. Absolute world-class performance. He was comfortable on the ball, he was cool, he was composed. He won the ball back so many times I lost count. I think he enjoyed having that support of the inverted fullback for Emerson. I think that's, again, something we shouldn't be knocking Emerson for. We should be respecting the contribution that he did that allowed Basuma to do what he does, got forward, make those passes. There is that kind of domino effect of those actions. And he just looks the real deal. And I was saying all summer, I don't know if he can handle the 6. Is he the perfect 6? Is he going to be able to do it? Probably, but is he the perfect 6? Well, I said no, but he's proven me wrong so far. He's been absolutely spectacular, especially with that little support from the inversion, and something I look forward to seeing more of, and I hope I'm continue to be impressed by him in that role. Really, really special performance from him. I guess it allows you, if you're looking around that midfield now and you think that you've got Lo Celso on the bench, you've got Bentancur to come back, you can ask Skippy to play there, you can ask Sarr to play there. Maybe for me now, given what we've seen with the situation yesterday and the attacking options, and of course, look, by the way, for what it's worth, I'm sitting here defending Emerson for the performance, but I still hold true to my belief that there is an issue at right back. If Emerson is the only guy that we have that can play that role, because Pedro Porro sure as hell can't in my mind, and Jed Spence really can't either, then if that's our only real option, then it's a problem. So, as I've been saying, I think we should go and try and find a solution where there's enough money to go and fill a place for a player that can maybe be a bit versatile, a bit of a utility player. Gertrude, I think, is a really good shout. Benjamin Pavard, I think, is a good shout, although it looks like he might be going to United. And anyone that can maybe double up and play in a couple of different positions, for me, makes a lot of sense. And then if you can get that deal done for sort of 30 million, 25, 30 million, then you can go and get a striker or 2 forwards that give you the out-and-out expertise and the options that you really are looking for. And who do they look like? Well, look, for me, Gift Orban still. I think he's too good of an opportunity to miss. Is there risk there? 100%. But for me, I like the idea of signing someone who's got this bags of potential and wonder stats. But I think you could also make the argument to go and get someone who is a little bit more proven and who is just going to take those chances at this level. And when you look around, maybe Ivan Toney is the option in January. Maybe you get Orban until then, and then you get Ivan Toney in January. Although are Brentford going to be easy to deal with? They were a nightmare to deal with Raya. And if not Ivan Toney, then I guess the other options. The only really other option that stands out to me as a number 9 that I particularly like is Dusan Vlahovic. Whether or not he's affordable, available, we'll have to lean into Fabio Paratici's better judgment and his relationship with Juve. Guys, let me know what your thoughts are. I'll do a stream about this later on if I can to go through the game, but I just wanted to get them off my chest early. Really good start, lots of positives to take away. So many positives. Remember, 70% possession away at Brentford. Phenomenal statistics. And on another day, if we could have found a little key to unlock, then we might just have snatched the winner. It is what it is. I'll take the point and look forward to Manchester United. Really interesting stuff though, guys, and lots of things to discuss over the next days. Let me know your thoughts, like, subscribe and comment, and as always, bye bye.